Coming up next, On the Spot. Goodbye, January. Hello, games. High Impact Games is here with Ratchet and Clank Size Matters for the PSP. President of High Impact Games and Lesley Mathieson, Design Director. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Leslie, we saw you on stage at E3 with Ratchet and Clank Size Matters for the PSP. Several months later, E3 is no more, but your game lives on.
That's right. It's all done now. It's all ready to be in people's hands playing it.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And you're going to show it off for us today?
Yeah.
Sure.
Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Roberto's going to play. Leslie's going to talk. Roberto, you also have a mic, though, so you feel free to say anything you want.
Okay.
Lesley, real quick overview. It's Ratchet and Clank, but it's on the PSP.
That's right. I mean, our goal from the very beginning was we didn't want to just take Ratchet and Clank and say, okay, we're going to reduce it down to a PSP. Our goal was to take a full Ratchet and Clank game and make it available to be portable. So this game is completely original, new story, new levels, new gameplay, features that you haven't seen in the console games, and looks as good as a PS2 game, but it's on a PSP screen.
Cool. Roberto, don't be afraid to play the game while we're going here so people can stop staring at me. But
why would we want to do that?
Exactly. Lesley, let's start up top then. What's the new story this time around?
Okay, well, at the beginning of the game, Ratchet and Clank are on vacation, and they're relaxing on Pocataru, where they meet a girl named Luna, and she wants to do a report on them, take some pictures. And while she's doing this, she gets kidnapped, and the robots that kidnap her drop an artifact belonging to a mysterious race known as the Technomites. And so Ratchet and Clank set off after her, and of course they get involved way deeper than they intended.
Of course. And I hear this time around there's an awful lot more of Clank.
Absolutely. We wanted to bring the franchise back to the earlier games. We felt like the fans really missed Clank a lot in the last game, and they'd like to see more of him. So we put in a ton of Clank this time. And it's not just the old gameplay. He has all new abilities this time around. He can jump into torsos. They're like little vehicles and be in destruction derbies or little sports games. There's also Giant Clank, but now he's in space, and we'll show you a bit of that today.
We will?
Yes.
Awesome. Well, before we get there, we got Ratchet right here, and Ratchet and Clank series known for probably some of the best video game TV commercials ever. What kind of weapons are in the game? What have you guys created this time around?
Well, we've got a mix of returning favorites and new weapons. So we've got returning favorites like the Agents of Doom are back, the suck cannon is back. But then we've got all new weapons. One of them is the bee mine, that if you throw it out, it creates a hive with robotic bees that will attack your enemies.
Awesome.
Another one is this one is the shock rocket. So the shock rocket's your long-range weapon, and it fires electrical blasts. And you can also get mods for it that allow it to fire out multiple rockets.
Cool. Speaking of mods, I hear there's a nice armor system in the game.
That's right. The armor system in past Ratchets has been pretty much walk up to a vendor, buy a suit of armor, and that's it. We've expanded upon that so you can buy armor for individual pieces. So you could get a helmet or you could get boots, and when you collect an entire set, Ratchet gets new abilities. So if you get Wildfire armor and you collect an entire set of it, his wrench gets on fire, his footprints are on fire, and when he hits enemies, he sets them on fire.
A lot of fire.
There's a lot of fire there. There's
Hot
also
fire.
secret sets. So if you figure out, well, I'm not going to tell you what they are, but if you mix and match the armor in the right ways, you can unlock entirely new abilities for it.
Very cool. And this is the fire suit we're looking at right now?
That's the fire suit right now, so you can see he's burning, he's making everything else burn, and it's all about fire.
Awesome. Ryan Davis, as you know, we take questions from the audience all show long.
I know it.
You know that?
Oh, how I know it.
Are you guys ready for some
so
questions?
aware of that.
Absolutely.
We'll get Roberto talking here. Ryan Davis.
Yes.
Hit us.
First off, Andy Robinson from Fort Carson, Colorado, asked specifically about the weapons. Wants to know if the Rhino is present this time around. You said
the Rhino is absolutely present. We couldn't have a Ratchet game without the Rhino, so it's back and it has upgrades.
Nice. More questions.
Oh, let's see here. Craig Brown from New York, Florida.
That's not a place.
That's what he says.
Liar.
He wants to know about camera controls.
So camera controls are one of the more challenging things of the PSP because, of course, we don't have the right analog stick. But what we've done is...
What'd you do with it?
Well, we hid it somewhere. No one will ever find it. And instead, they have to use shoulder buttons.
Okay.
But the shoulder buttons work well. They rotate the camera around. And we also put in 2 camera modes so that players could kind of pick and choose how they want it to work. There's a really active camera that pretty aggressively stays behind Ratchet. So if you don't like touching the camera buttons a lot, it'll try to just stick behind him and aim at where you want to look. If you'd rather have more control of the camera, like the PS2 versions, you can put it on passive mode and control the camera using the shoulder buttons.
Was it challenging creating a game that another developer had been working on for so long? Like, how'd you guys come up with the story and the sense of humor in the game? You just have a good group of people working on it, or?
Well, we had a great group of people. Some of the people have worked on the past Ratchet games, like Roberto and I, so that was very comfortable for us. For the story, the team really just sat down. Everyone was pretty excited about it. They threw in ideas. I sort of coalesced them into a cohesive story, and then we had Oliver Wade, who did the dialogue on some of the original Ratchets, wrote the dialogue for this one, so the humor's all still there.
Cool. A little bit of collaboration there.
That's right.
Awesome. All right, Ryan Davis, more questions.
Let's see here. Daniel Ladiano from San Rafael, California asks, he wants to know more about Clank's playability in this game.
So Clank has a lot of things he can do in this game. He's got some of the traditional Gadgetbot gameplay, plus he's got Clank arenas that have 3 different types of Clank gameplay available. And then on top of it, he also has Giant Clank in space. So the Clank arenas, he gets to be in a destruction derby. He's got the bot flinger challenges, which are a little like a sport where you're throwing around explosive Gadgetbots.
Nice.
And the survival mode, which is a little more puzzly, which has, Gadgetbots walking along, you have to give them different kinds of orders. Except it's a little bit more 2D style. What we're about to see is Giant Clank in space.
Yes.
I'm going to let Roberto talk a bit about that.
That sounds like its own game.
Yeah, it totally is. And Roberto will say more about it than I will because it's his favorite part of the game.
Roberto, tell us about Giant Clank.
Well, actually, a lot of people have mentioned that this is like a full game on its own, and they want to see more of it. But we put a lot of efforts. What I worked on most when I worked on the previous Ratchet games was special effects and weapons and things like that. So I wanted to do something that was that pushed my limits in what I could do visually. So this was my favorite section, and I worked with very, very talented engineers in getting as much as I could on the screen. And we have in this level, we tried to put as much as we could, and we have over 20,000 particles at once on the screen without any slowdown.
On the PSP?
On the PSP. Many PS2 games can't do that.
Awesome.
And it's absolutely smooth gameplay, and it's actually remarkable.
Cool. So tell us about the gameplay right here with Giant Clank.
Well, right now, Giant Clank is flying through space. He's got unlimited guns, so you can just blast at anything, and there's a bit of dodge him here. But ultimately, there's just going to be piles of enemies coming at him, and he'll collect some rockets, which he'll be able to fire off at them. But if you wait for another wave or so, you'll truly see just how much stuff can go on at once. You're already seeing some of it. It's pretty impressive
Getting
stuff.
a little bit of an Iron Giant vibe from Clank here. He doesn't get hit by a meteor and crash on Earth and befriend a little boy who has to run away from Christopher McDonald. Does that happen?
No, and he's also not afraid to blow things up.
Nice. That's true. Very true. Ryan Davis, one last question, please.
Oh, only one?
Yeah, ask about multiplayer.
I really wanted to ask,
all right, ask it. No, do it.
Keith Kazer from Genoa City, Wisconsin, wants to know about the multiplayer, how many people can play, is it online, stuff like that.
Perfect.
So multiplayer, we've got 2 modes available, both ad hoc and infrastructure. So you can play with your friends in a room or on a server with people across the country. We've got 3 different multiplayer modes. Deathmatch, Capture the Flag, and something we call Iron Lombax, which is like objective-based gameplay. And each of the maps is totally unique. It doesn't overlap with a single-player map, and all of the different maps have different objectives for the Iron Lombax mode. So like my favorite's the cow one, where you're basically suck canning these cows on this space level, and you're at competing restaurants, and you're putting them in the cowverter, make little meat crates, and load them onto trucks.
Nice.
And things like that.
Cool. Good for vegans. All right, so the game is Ratchet & Clank Size Matters. Leslie, Roberto, thanks for coming out. When is it available in stores?
February 13th.
That's like soon.
Yes.
So perfect Valentine's Day gift, Ratchet & Clank Size Matters. Thank you very much, Roberto, Leslie. Appreciate you coming by. And, for the next game, come on back.
Okay.
So we'll see you then. Great.